What do you remember most about your parents?
I remember all kinds of things about my parents.
What stands out most about why you loved your parents? What made you love them so much?
My mother suffered from mental illness most of her adult life. I believe she was bipolar. So our lives were really chaotic and difficult. The one thing that I know that was really good about my mother was she never thought she was better than anybody else. Probably because she had suffered through her life, not only due to her illness, but to some of her family's dynamics. And she passed on a real acceptance of other people and what was seen to be their disabilities or their misfortunes. She kind of was always on the side of the underdog. My dad was the solid one in the family, and I adored my father. He gave us a sense of security. He was smart. He was really funny, but you had to know him really well to get that from him. Because he was a shy person and didn't really show himself to many people. They both had a really difficult life financially. There was a lot of illness in our family. My dad used to say that he was working for the hospital to pay all the hospital bills, and we just had no money. I mean, they turned off our gas and electric. My dad was always scrambling, trying to figure out how to take care of us, especially since he worked every overtime hour he could ever get. He was a printer, and he made a good salary, but it just wasn't enough to keep up with all the medical bills. So, and he had a really strong sense of right and wrong. He did what was right regardless of what it cost him. I remember, he was a huge union person for the first 3/4 of his life. And I got a job when I was 14, and I worked since then. But I had bought him a radio for Christmas that first year that I worked, and I was so excited to give that to him. And he asked me where I got it when I gave it to him, and I told him, and he said, "That's not a union shop, you'll have to take it back." So as much as he wanted a radio, and as much as he didn't want to disappoint me, it was still more important to support union workers. So I took it back. So anyway, there were a lot of things that I admired about my father.
What and how did your mother and father pass away?
My mother had pulmonary fibrosis and was pretty much an invalid at home for about the last 5 years of her life, and then she died of a pulmonary embolism in February of 1982. And my dad got sick like about a month later, and started having a lot of tests done, and he just didn't feel well. And in October, they decided he needed an endarterectomy to scrape the plaque from his carotid artery, and he died following surgery in October of 1982. So he had a stroke.
What did your mom and dad like to do for fun?
For fun. Well, they both liked to play cards.
Did they do any travel or?
Well, they didn't travel. My mother loved to go to the ocean, and we never traveled when we were kids. But when we were married and started taking vacations with our children, my mother would go with one of the families, and she loved to buy everybody jams. So,
Not jellies. What are yams?
Jams are like pedal pusher. They come below the knee, and they're a little wider, and you wear them on the beach. They're like beach pants,
Okay.
and real bright Hawaiian colors. And she spent her entire vacation meeting people at the store and buying them jams that fit them. And then she brought home for anybody who didn't come their jams. So that's the extent of the travel they did.